Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Real Estate Investing Real Talk with your host, Sherwin G.
And I'm Tyler J. What's up,
Oh.
Sherwin?
So I was pointing, I'm not sure where on the screen you're gonna
Every
be, but
time, every time.
yeah, well, it's been a while since we last chatted, so we kind of did like a catch up of what's going on between between you and I. But this the what's great about the Real Talk is those conversations actually you know uh, turn into something a little bit more. Hopefully, our viewers or audiences can find value into, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very much a catch-up session here, but we hit record and touched on a few pretty valuable topics, I think. And I started off talking about rising property taxes and how that can affect the cash flow of your portfolio.
Mhm.
Sherwin and I dive into the capital gains exemption of selling a property that you lived in from, 2 of the last 5 years. He's going through that
Yeah.
right now. And
Mhm.
then Sherwin leaves us with a nice little nugget of 5 ways to reduce your interest rate on mortgages or lending.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So it was a
look
great,
at
great
that.
little, and it was just on the fly, real talk. Just Tyler and I having a conversation and recording it and sharing it
Boom.
to the world.
Magic.
Boom.
Inter
That's
what do you
it.
call it? Inter
In,
information? What did you call it at the end?
education. No, not education. Edutainment.
Edutainment. There it is.
I
So
tried to
stay
take.
tuned for some edutainment right now.
All right, guys.
Boom.
Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Peace.
Enjoy. Boom. I feel like I've been bouncing around a lot on the travel spectrum, which has been nice. Like I was in Europe for a couple of weeks with my family and
Mhm.
did Portugal and Spain, and then I came back and got a couple more trips lined up here in the fall. It's been nice to kind of work remote and everyone. For those that don't know, I still have a W-2 job. I'm not free from the golden handcuffs like Sherwin is yet just yet. But I've still worked the W-2 job, W-2 grind, the 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it. Um, been pretty quiet on the real estate side though. I mean, from my standpoint, I will say my portfolio in Indiana running smooth. However, property taxes went up, so that's going to eat into cash for a little bit, and I wasn't able to raise my rents fast enough or high enough to cover the difference. So I'm actually now seeing some not negative cash flow, but my cash flow is getting eaten into. And I've realized this theme actually the past few years in Indianapolis specifically. I think the good thing is property values are going up. Um, but obviously that means property taxes go up, and you have to be very diligent on honestly raising rents. Like as a landlord, you unless you bought really, really, really at a good time and right, like you're gonna have to keep up with inflation and property taxes. Like that's one thing I think people forget to realize when they first get into this game, and they're running that initial spreadsheet. Right, you run the numbers, you see what your mortgage is, you see what your rent is, and then you're like, oh, this is great. Like my cash flow will just increase as I increase my rental rate. But like you have to account for and think about raising rising property taxes. So that's one thing I think I didn't learn until I started getting those property tax bills like 2 years later. And they were like, oh, damn, like I didn't raise rent enough because it's not like it sucks to see your property lose cash flow.
Yeah, I
So
mean
that's
that's what.
what I'm running into right now on my portfolio.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned when you're underwriting your deals. You have like your percentages, right? Your vacancies and all that. But there's a property tax line item, and that should increase
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years.
Yep.
And part of the mistake that investors do, and I do it all the time. I'm not like a pro or anything. That's why I have like partners that
So we have that's why you have an accountant on your
yeah,
team.
yeah, exactly. That can underwrite these numbers much better than I can. But the initial property management number or property tax numbers, and then you should bake in like an increase incrementally throughout the
Every year.
years. I mean, it's a guesstimate, but you can do your best guess and just make sure those are baked in. Same like vacancy, same like bad debt, and everything else, and
Yep.
also expenses as well, right? Make sure those
Yep.
are baked in. But the beauty is, I mean, well, depending on your strategy, I do many value add deals, right? Forced appreciation. So everybody's very low. The idea is as these expenses go up, you're forced appreciating because you're rehabbing these properties. So
Mhm.
these expenses go up, but at the same time, your income goes up as
Goes up
well
as well.
because
Yep.
whenever that break even point is 2 months, 3 months, whenever you renovate these properties or units and you can now rent it at market rate, that's the whole idea is that you cover that increase in expenses with the increase in income, and hopefully your
Yeah.
increase in income is exponentially and you underwrite it, so you do have that nice chunk of cash flow, throughout 2, 3, 4, 5 year period. And we do this for our deals all the time, even though we may not keep the deal for 3, 5 years.
Mhm.
Like typically especially for our multifamily syndications, we always on the rate for 3 to 5 years, but we tend to exit in less than 2 years, like 16, 17 months. That's not for every single deal, but it's nice for the investor to kind of see these potential returns at these different periods, because
Mhm.
you never know what might happen. Like, inflation might go up, interest rates might go up, and
Yeah, man.
if you're exiting right now, maybe now is not the right time to exit, and maybe you just keep the property and refinance. But hey, we underwrote, a performer, like, hey, in 3 years time, this is what the numbers might look like once we refinance, and we hold it for 5 years, these are what the numbers are going to look like, and so forth. So I mean, yeah, that's just part of being your doing your due diligence and just seeing all the multiple different outcomes. But I keep tweeting about this all the time. That's what I love about real estate is there's multiple exit strategies,
Yep.
and depending on the current market and the current economy, like today, you can sort of what separates, I guess, the great investors from the good investors is that how you adapt to these times. All right. So are you able to adapt to these current times of the high inflation, the high interest rates, this whole crazy market, what's going to happen right now in the world? Are you able to adapt and kind of pivot
Mhm.
and do what's best for you as an investor, or your investors if you're investing on behalf of other investors in a syndication deal, and so forth. I mean, that sort of alludes to kind of what I've been up to, and you kind of want to brought up in the beginning of, like, I tweeted earlier something about, like, hey, is would you rather sell now or keep now?
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
And I've got like very kind
You're
of
always gonna see both sides of the
responses.
spectrum too, right? Like everyone, it's gonna be good feedback, but it probably won't help you too much make your decision because you're almost back to square one because you're gonna hear both sides of the argument, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious, so obviously you're evaluating a sale of a single family home in Oakland.
Yeah.
So actually, the one thing I keep forgetting, and this is I think because I've never owned a primary myself, like the whole capital gains exemption thing. For some reason, I didn't even know that there was an expiration date. So what is this whole expiration date of being able to be exempt from the capital gains? I just thought I didn't think there was an expiration date. Like, can you talk about
Yeah.
that real quick?
Yeah. I'm actually Googling it right now. So I don't,
Yeah,
like, I'm
no
not a
trip.
tax accountant or anything like that. So what it is, what's it? So I just literally just Googled, like, what I get Google, like,
Capital gains exemption or something.
yeah, capital gains exemption 3 out of the 5 years.
Yep, yep,
Because, so just sort of backtrack for the audience here. So I have prior to moving to where I'm at right now, my wife and I had our primary home in Oakland, California. Right, we moved out of there 2 years ago, and I think uh, June of 2020, we moved out of our Oakland home into our new home, and since turned that Oakland home into a rental property. So it's been a rental property for about 2 years or so, right? And my residents there gave notice, and they since moved out beginning of August, like a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, beginning of August. So we were in this dilemma, like, okay, what do we do right now? Do we sell or do we keep? And in our minds, we've always wanted to sell, especially last year would have been great, or even earlier in this quarter, like first half of the quarter, or even for like Q1 of this year, right? Would have been great. And now the market's kind of shifted because in the first 2 quarters of this year, interest rates were low and people were able to afford a much we get these better interest rated loans with a
mm-hmm,
lower monthly payment, right?
yep,
So now, since it's higher now, it's pulling a lot of buyers out of the market that who could normally afford like $1 million house, they're
Yep.
getting outpriced now because rates are high and they want to pay the high monthly payment. Plus, you hear all the noise in the news saying, oh, interest rates are high, blah blah. Hold off now. It's a buyer's market. There's
Recession,
going to be
recession.
yeah. Hoard your cash.
Hoard
Hoard
your
your cash.
cash.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's just noise, and I mean it is true, but there's different. It's almost like clickbait. The news kind of reports all these. Oh my God, interest are 5% high,
Yeah.
and this and that. But there's ways that you can lower your interest. We can talk about maybe towards the end. I tweeted like 5 ways that you can get a lower rate
Yep.
during these times. But they the news like to market the higher rates. But anyways, going back to my property, so they're exiting, or my residents moved, so now we're like, okay, what do we do? And this tax exemption, I just go this IRS, it says the heading is topic number 701, sale of your home, and the qualifying for your exclusion here, it says here, is this the right one? Oh, here it is. It says there, you're eligible for the exclusion if you have owned or use your home as your main home for a period aggregating at least 2 years out of the 5 years prior to its date of sale.
Okay.
I don't know if that like makes sense or not, but
so what I'm asking is, but is there really an expiration date? Like, for example, my parents who have lived in their house for 30 years,
yeah.
are we saying that they would not qualify to?
Are they still living there?
They're still living there.
Yeah, they're fine.
Oh, it's because,
'Cause
okay, I get it now. Because it's
they
because
haven't
you
they haven't
left.
moved
My
out.
bad.
Exactly.
Now it all
So
makes sense. So that's
exactly.
right.
So
I got you.
I left like 2 years
Yep.
ago.
Yep.
So I left in June 2020.
Yep.
So I have till June of
Next
2023
year.
to sell
Yep.
before I get hit by
Okay.
cap gains.
That's so
And this is
funny.
nothing new.
I never thought of the whole expiration thing for some reason, but
Yeah,
now it makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, and it's nothing new. I mean, I'm probably butchering the whole. So if there's any
We're not
accountants
accountants.
or
We're
something,
not
IRS,
accountants,
yes, yeah.
clearly.
But yeah. So my wife and I qualified because we moved out
Yeah.
2 years ago, so we have one more year left
Yep.
before we get hit with a capital gains tax. And I mean, this is like one way that I've known that people have literally increased their wealth.
Oh, for sure.
They buy a home, live in it for 2 years, and then sell, or even
Yep.
whatever, yeah, sell, right, and then move on to the next home,
Yep.
or they keep that home,
And
or they
rent
live
it
in the two
out.
years to move out, rent it out, or and then sell it within the 3 year, within the exemption, right, three
Yeah.
years or whatever it is, right, and then repeat, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. You don't have to move on. I mean, you could just
I
live in
mean,
your
if you
house for
can
2 years,
avoid
sell,
capital gains,
boom, boom,
man, if you can avoid capital
yeah.
gains in a high appreciating market, it's just like free money. It's like free money.
Wife and I, it's an older home. It's like built
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's older. It's built like 1960s. And my wife made a good point to me yesterday. I go, hey, because I also saw like some type of webinar. It's like, you should, why sell homes? Why sell real estate? Just keep it, and increase your net worth. Because what I've noticed, I do my net worth calculations every month, and
Yep.
if I sell the home, I get the equity. The equity is
Yep.
still part of my net worth, but then now I gotta be
You gotta
smart to deploy
deploy
to
it
get more
in
capital.
a faster
Yeah,
appreciating
exactly.
market or just a better return.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe I get, maybe what if I don't sell what it's really worth? So my net
Yeah.
worth just dropped, right?
Yep.
And maybe
Yep.
on paper, my net worth is, 500K in equity or whatever it is. But I sold
Yep.
it for 300K equity. So it just dropped 200K,
Yeah.
right? And, so if I keep, that's another way I saw is like, if you keep all your real estate properties, there's a way you can still leverage the equity. You can take a HELOC to a cash out refi and just rinse and repeat. But
Yep.
then my wife made a good point to me like yesterday. She's like, "Well, this house is pretty old. It's 1965. It's in good shape. The bones are good, but somewhere along the years, if we hold it, we're gonna have to do some major repairs, or if it's
Yep.
plumbing, mechanical, or
Roof.
electrical, roof."
Yep.
And that's that's a one downside of single family homes is cash flow might be great, whatever, but all it takes is one roof payment,
Repair or
whatever, yeah, roof payment,
replacement.
yeah, plumbing repairs, and you just wipe off your whole cash flow that whole year.
Yep.
It happened to me. I had a great year. I was like, minimal cash flow every month, whatever, and then I had to replace the water heater. Oh
Yeah.
crap! There goes half my returns throughout the year.
Yeah.
And that happened in December, of course, when they needed heating and
Exactly.
so forth, right?
Yeah, my
So
buddy has a duplex in East Oakland, and it was cash flowing very well. And but he
yeah,
had to I think he had to drop 40K on a number of things. So I think it was roof repair,
mhm,
He had to do some seismic retrofitting. I think both of his
Mhm,
water heaters were replaced. So it's like, dang, dude,
mhm.
dropping 40K on your house is kind of a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's important. I mean, I always saw these videos on TikTok where they're like, "Hey, buy a house. Your mortgage is going to be, $1,000. You can rent it out for $2,000. You have a
Yep.
$1,000 cash
$1,000
flow."
cash flow.
Nope, nope. You're forgetting about what about property taxes? What about insurance? What about
Yep.
expense? So when you have your, I guess your net operating income, right?
Yep.
Your income minus
Yep.
your expenses.
Yep.
This is not including debt right now or anything. Your
Yep.
NOI, right? And then you minus your debt, insurance, property taxes, whatever. Make sure you take a percentage out of that cash flow or
Mm-hmm.
for for vacancies, for turnover, for expenses, future expenses, put that aside. And then that's really your true cash flow.
Yep.
So then when you're hit with a water heater repair bill, you have reserves there, to pay for that. And you're not like, just surprised, like, oh, yeah, that's great. I accounted for maybe some of these expenses, and you can tap into those operating reserves to repair. But, anyways, we kind of segued it. But so, so my wife and I has to sell it by 2023 of June next year to be
Yep.
excluded. So we're like, okay, we know the market's probably not a seller's market right now, it's a buyer's market,
Buyers right now for sure.
but
We're
we're in
sitting
the
here. It's
Bay Area.
August of 2022. Buyers market.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's but we're in the Bay Area.
Yep.
There's cash in the Bay Area. We're in a part of Oakland where the locations, it's not the exclusive, but it's decent, right?
Yeah.
It's up on the hill. There's a view of
Yeah.
the city and everything like that, right? So we're like, all right, let's test the market,
Yep.
and we're like, there's no harm, no foul. I mean, we do lose time and some of our money, right, to go test the market and see. We can test the market, do a few
For
open
example, are
houses.
you putting any money into like staging or anything?
No, so this is interesting. So my real estate agent, who's actually my aunt as well, she's family, but anyways, so I remember earlier in the year, I asked her, "Hey, we might look to exit the house because my residents were thinking about moving out earlier in the year, which would have been great. Timing would have been great."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh yeah." And then she's like, "Yeah, it's much better if they leave. That way I can stage the house because the stage house gets, better presence
Yeah,
online and
for
just,
sure.
so then now I asked her, hey, should we stage the house? And she's been hearing all stories in Oakland how, agents were staging houses in Oakland, certain locations, but they were getting broken into and burglarized because
Wow.
of yeah. So she actually called some staging companies, I guess, to see if they want to stage our house. And our house is not even a bad area or anything, but they're like
Yeah.
hesitant. No, we don't want to do it, so forth. So she's like, okay, we're not going to stage us. Her main concern was timing, right? They were out first week of August,
Yep.
literally, like I think August 5th. We had our first open house weekend. So literally we had that 1 5-day spread. So to get a stage of all that, I mean, we could have done the homework beforehand, but she chose, okay, let's not do it. Let's just see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And then here's the interesting thing. It's funny you mentioned staging. I messaged her yesterday because we do this for our multifamily units. For some of them, we've done Photoshop staging before
Yeah. The
for our
virtual
multifamily
staging,
units.
especially online,
Yes,
I think that's helpful.
yeah. So we've done that before on our multifamily because no one really stages rent, right?
No.
And it looks great online. It
Yeah.
gives, I mean, staging, whether virtual or real, it gives the end renter or end buyer kind of like an idea of how to use a space, how to furnish a space, and so forth. So that's what's my concern is like when we have these open houses, the first impression is always key, right? It's like they go in, the house is empty. Of course, it look better if it's staged. So, we're questioning: is that a great idea? Is that not? Are we losing money? Should we be getting just do that? So she's actually looking to my real estate agent. She's actually looking to because I sent her some links to do some virtual staging, so it looks better online, like on Zillow or apartment.com or whatever. So she's looking at that. And I guess the cost of them is not that great. There's
Mm-hmm.
actually some deals out there, they charge per rendering and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
she's actually looking at that to maybe do some virtual staging, which is great. I mean, saves me money than real staging and leaves the house kind of empty and secure, right? But then
Yeah.
and the other concern I had too was when the residents left, it was in okay condition. It wasn't an exact same condition as they left it. I mean, they're renters and they don't really it was expected,
Yep.
but there's a lot of patchwork on the walls, and you can. I mean, at least they covered the walls and everything, the holes, but
Yep.
then
Yep. Yep.
the patchwork didn't match the paint. So
Ah,
you can see it all. So the whole house has to get painted. So that's another thing I asked my real estate agent, hey, should we paint the house beforehand? And she's like, I'm gonna list it and let's see if we can get it as is. We can maybe save you some money without painting because there might be some buyers out there who may just say, or
they want to
in the
paint
back, but
themselves.
yeah, or in their back pocket, we use as credit. Like, hey, we'll give you
Yep.
credit to paint the
Yep.
house.
Yep. Yep.
But all these in my mind, I'm like, man, because when I'm buying homes, if I'm a family, I'm looking for the least amount of work, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like I go into this house, I'm like, oh my gosh, the cabinets need to be paid, the walls need to be paid. That's extra work in my head,
Yep.
and that's already yeah, it's already
It's another
real
barrier to not buy the house.
exactly. So I'm like, is this a good idea or not? But I'm like, okay, let me real estate agent because everything's kind of rushed. Like, okay, we got like 4 or 5 days,
Yeah.
to get this prepared for the weekend listing. So I haven't chatted with her yet. The first weekend was, I mean, I think she texted me on Monday or something like, hey, yeah, there was like I think I don't know, I forget how many people that saw the house, but there's like two interested buyers.
Hmm.
So we'll see. I mean, nothing concrete.
There we go.
I haven't
Better than
seen,
nothing, dude.
I haven't seen any offers.
Yeah.
So for me, that's just Fugazi right now. Oh, great!
Yeah.
Until I see some type of
Interested
offer, but
buyers. They said they're
yeah,
interested. Yeah.
yeah. But it's price for to receive multiple offers,
Yep.
hopefully.
So it's kind
You
of a
know,
lower list price.
yeah, it's a lower. I mean, went from higher to kind of lower depending on market. So I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's see what happens, and we'll see how this first weekend goes, and then during this week, say, hey, should we paint the house? Then
Yeah.
okay, we'll go to the next step, paint it if it shows better, and then we kind of see what happens and so forth. But in my mind, I think
By
maybe
the
we
way,
should
would you do
just get painted.
exterior and interior painting, like the whole thing, or what were you thinking?
No, just the exterior is okay.
Just
It's
do
scraping because of
interior.
wear and tear. I'll just do the interiors, and
Yeah.
then
How much would that cost approximately? 10K?
so for the exterior,
No,
probably a
no,
little, yeah.
interior. Interior.
I got a quote for around $5,000,
Oh, okay.
5,700
Okay.
interiors,
The
including
whole
the
interior, every
yeah,
bedroom,
yeah,
bathroom,
yeah,
everything.
every bedroom, bathroom, including the garage, ceilings,
I feel like
doors,
that's not a bad
moldings,
deal,
all
dude.
that. No, but here's the thing though. So I tracked back to see because I painted the house before my
Way
renters moved
back
in
in the
2 years
day.
ago.
Yeah. I bet you it
It's
was
like
$3,000.
$1,700.
Oh,
But
how many years ago was that?
it was 2 years ago, like
Seriously?
2020 when we moved. Yeah, but then
Holy crap. It went from
but
1700 to
yeah, yeah.
57?
But then
Dang.
I'm looking at the invoice, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, I'm not. It doesn't show like the scope, like what exactly would it like. I don't think we painted the ceilings. I think we just
Yeah.
painted the walls and
Walls.
the doors and maybe touch
Yeah.
ups. So this
Yeah.
is like a full on,
Yeah. Of
brand new thing.
everything. Of
Yeah, so that's I mean, of course they're gonna quote you the highest one. So then
course.
I can always go back and be like, hey, ceilings are in good
5,000.
shape. Why don't you just do the walls and
Yep.
up the trim. The doors look
Yep.
fine to me. You don't have
Yep.
to do the
Yep.
doors maybe as
Yep.
well, right? They still new or whatever. You don't have to repaint everything, but of course they're going to quote and have they want to make their time worth it there.
For
So
sure.
we kind of take that and kind of probably chunk it down. I'll probably get close to that 1,700, probably a little bit more because of inflation and everything. But that painting is it's a high expense.
Bro, we gotta start a
Because
painting company.
yeah,
You hire 3 painters for like what, 20, $30 an hour?
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the labor alone is expensive, and all the taping and the prepping and
Yeah,
all
the
that. That's a
taping
lot of work.
is
So, yeah,
difficult, but yeah.
yeah. So we're holding off on that. What I did do was that I mean, the yard work was all kind of like a mess. It was like a dead grass, so we cleaned that up. I got actually a cheaper deal than I use my normally landscape people. We got a cleaning person, of course, to clean everything inside the house, and
Mhm.
there was like a broken fence in the backyard that they got fixed. So that luckily that one kind of all in one handy cleaning person did everything for that, and that was like only like I think $1,000. So I mean, my, we've done this before. My wife and I sold a house before, so it's expected there's going to be turnover costs.
Yep, of
So we're like,
course.
okay, we're going to expect to pay, maybe 5 to 8K, maybe at highest, to
Yep.
just get the house ready to sell. So we're holding off on those big expenses for now, and we may do it, maybe in the future, or we'll see what happens. And who knows if we get an offer, we don't have to deal with it. It's great, right?
Yep.
Leave it in
Yep.
someone's hands. So, but that's part of like maybe the attractiveness, and maybe that will draw some buyers in. Where hey, maybe we can hope they don't lowball, but we'll see. But that's the main thing about this whole game is let's get that offer in and
Yep.
give us something to react to,
Yep.
right?
Then you
Give
can
us something to react to.
evaluate.
Yeah,
You're gonna
because
have
as
more of a baseline of what
yeah,
the activity and interest is.
yeah, because as my realtor says, like, we don't have to accept that offer. We can counter and then
Yep.
go from there. Because we're looking at the comps. There's a house that sold down the street, like I think last month. It closed last month. It was listed for, I forget exactly what it was listed for, but it went 500 over list price.
Dang.
But
This is
but
Bay Area market, baby. Here we go.
yeah, but it exited like end of last month, like the end of July. It probably opened escrow end of June
Mm-hmm.
when the rates were kind of maybe more favorable,
Yep.
and they were maybe already in it,
Yep.
and they're
They
like,
probably
let's
got a
just
rate lock
go.
earlier.
Exactly. Yeah, they got
Yep.
a rate lock earlier, maybe even before June, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's buy. So I mean, it goes kind of two ways where buyers may be holding off because rates are too high, or maybe they're like, maybe we got to buy now because before rates get even higher.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the action is. I mean, if anything, I was talking to my wife and she's like, if we don't get the offer that we want, we'll just delist it and rent it out.
Yep.
The only problem is, if we rent it out now, we probably can't get the resident out before our
Yeah, because you want to
exclusion
ideally
period.
sell spring or summer of next year. You have
Yeah,
to sell by
yeah,
summer of next
yeah.
year. You
Or
could
we
do
just
like
yeah,
could you do like maybe think about a 9 month lease or something, like kind of short term?
yeah. I could do a 6 month, 9 month lease, or their option is just keep it,
Yeah.
rent it out, do a like we just talked earlier, cash out refi. I already have a HELOC on the home, so which is
Yeah.
great. And just the other way you can defer is do a 1031 exchange when we sell, because we're eventually going to use this to buy another property anyways. It's just nice. We can get get the capital in our hands tax
Yep.
free.
Yep.
Now we have the freedom to do
Then you
whatever
can
we want
deploy
with it.
whatever you want.
Exactly. We can do, some, I mean, our college fund
You
for our
could buy
kids,
your
whatever.
Lambo. You could
Yeah,
buy
exactly. Yeah, but yeah.
uh
Actually, I saw a video about that, like Turo, right? Get a Lambo and
Yep.
you can Turo your Lamborghini, and
Yeah.
the margins are pretty high. You just got
I
to maintain that Lambo and insurance and all that stuff, right?
So
So,
on that note, for those that don't know, I also don't own a car, by the way. I live a very
no,
minimalistic lifestyle. So I
yeah,
actually, and I have to wrap this up pretty soon here, but I did have to
yeah,
rent out a car over the weekend. I got a Tesla and it
yeah.
wasn't cheap, man. And now, so it was, they hit you with a lot of fees, but I have evaluated this strategy of buying a car and renting it out. But yeah, so I think at the end of the day, I spent for one day of using a Tesla $200,
Mm.
which is not cheap.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's my Turo experience. But I did get it was a brand new Tesla. It was very nice.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
if they're
Well,
renting that thing, 10 to 15 days out of the month, which is like not even that great of a booking percentage, that's like half the month. Like
mhm.
that's good money.
Yeah,
That's good
yeah.
money.
Well, the one video I saw, if you had that luxury car like a Lamborghini or something else fancy, it's not even like per day because people per hour or
Yep.
periods, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
hey, I'll do it for 2 hours. Like, hey, I get to drive a Lamborghini. And
Yep.
now imagine you're doing that two, three times a day,
Yep. Yep.
30 days a week. So you're not renting out 30 days or anything.
Nope.
So, we'll see. So, anyways, I mean, I think you got to wrap it up, right, Tyler? I mean,
Yeah,
I,
I gotta hop off, and unfortunately,
mhm.
I've noticed now that we have a 40-minute time limit on this thing. I gotta upgrade to pro.
Oh, I can change it. I mean, do we have time to talk about the 5 ways we can lower our interest rate, or you want to
Yeah,
save that to
let's
next
do
time?
that. Let's do that right now, and then we'll also do a quick little intro clip at the end.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So anyway, I
So
mean,
wait,
I
what are
tweeted
this?
this.
Sure, and this is the five. We have 9 minutes and 26 seconds. Five
Yes.
ways to what was it? Tell the
So
audience here.
I tweeted this a while ago, but it's like, mortgage rates are too high, but there are moves that home buyers can actually make to find a lower mortgage rate. And it was from an article.
I love it.
We can put the link on later on in the description, but there's a 5 possible money making saving options. And there's nothing new. So like one way is, boost your credit score.
Boost
Even if
credit
it's
score.
only 5 points, it could make a big difference, right?
Yep.
The other way is obviously shop for rates. Compare offerings, among a variety of lenders and products. Don't just go with the first lender, maybe get two or three and kind of shop around and see which will give you the best rate per your score now, right? Another way is consider paying points. That's
Mm-hmm.
one way to lower the rate. Mortgage points, are fees a borrower pays a lender in exchange for a reduced interest rate. There's
Yep.
also other ways where hey, if you open a bank account with them, they reduce it by like a quarter
Yep.
percent or
Yep.
whatever, right? There's different ways they do that. Yeah,
By the way, I
ways they
think every
reduce it.
mortgage I've ever gotten, I've bought down a little bit.
Yeah,
And there's obviously a way to run the numbers on what the break even point of buying down would be, but I always prefer to lower interest rates, so I've always bought down personally
yeah,
if it made sense for
exactly.
my strategy.
Yeah, and if it saves you money in the long run,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Pay it up front first, and then you'll break even and make it up,
Yep.
3, 4, 5 years, especially if you're holding the property, right?
Yep.
The fourth way is just make a larger down payment.
Yep.
Instead of putting 20% down, consider putting down more additional cash up front, which may be hard for someone because that 20% down, especially in the Bay Area, is a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's still one way. And the last way is consider other loan types. Like one option is an adjustable rate mortgage or
Yep.
an ARM,
ARM. ARM.
where
ARM.
the rates are lower. And people may say, "Oh, that's a bad thing." Everyone says to get the 30-year fix, all that stuff. On my investment properties, I've done ARMs on my primary homes now, because who knows what's going to happen 5, 10 years from now,
Yep.
and I can just refinance out of it later on, depending on the market and so forth. So those are kind of like, you know, 5 ways. So TLDR,
I mean,
you know,
ARMs make a lot of sense in a high interest rate market right now, right? So like if you think the rates are going to, drop in the next 1 to 5 years, because they are kind of high right now,
yeah,
in comparison to where they were, it
yeah,
would probably make sense to do an ARM right now.
yeah. So
But
I learned this term in like the tech world,
ah,
It's like too
yes,
long
too
didn't
too long.
too long
Was it
didn't
too
read.
long?
Yeah,
Don't read.
yeah, too long didn't read or didn't read.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
just
yeah.
learned
It's a
that, and I
summary
was telling you,
version.
yeah, and I was telling a friend, and he incorporated it in his conversation.
I love it. I
So
love it.
so
I
here,
love it.
so TLDR, how to lower your mortgage rates. Number one, boost your credit score. Two, shop for rates. Three, consider paying points. Four, make a larger down payment. Five, consider other loan options like adjustable rate mortgages.
Boom.
Boom. All right.
Sherwin with the TLDR right there. Here we go.
I don't know.
I
We're
love it.
silly.
I love it.
Anyways, this is a pretty good impromptu episode.
Yeah, I love it.
So
No, this is
yeah,
again, hopefully there's some value in there, and I think there is. So,
yeah.
um, I love just hopping on and hitting record and talking to you, dude.
Cool. Right on, Tyler. So I guess to our audience out there, like or subscribe if you enjoy the
Hit
stuff. I want
that
to keep.
like button, hit that subscribe
Yeah,
button,
yeah. And hit us
jump in
up
and
if you
take
want to hear.
flight.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hit us up if
It's been
you
real.
exactly. I mean, hit us up if you want to talk about different topics. If you want to be on our show, just chat. We're just real talk. Tyler are just investors here and there. We're not gurus. We're not super professionals yet. We may be you 5 years from now or 10 years from now, wherever you're at in your
Or
point,
it may be you
or
5 years
maybe
ago.
5 years ago, which is fine because we will love to talk to these people and kind of learn off them. And we just like sharing our journey to everyone, and hopefully someone can learn off of it and you know enjoy the edutainment, I guess you could
Yes.
say. So, all
Edutainment. I
right,
love it. Cool.
I'm just like, all right, guys. So catch you guys
It's
later.
been
Next
real.
episode. It's been real.
Peace.
Peace.